Hello, welcome back to On the Same Team. Today we have a guest who embodies what it means to be a dedicated team member and leader in the world of public service. Our guest is Zach Anderson, a public servant with over 15 years of experience in public safety. Zach is a graduate of Morningside College and currently lives in Dike, Iowa with his wife and 2 kids. Zach's career is marked by his commitment to his community. After 6 years in juvenile corrections, he served as a deputy sheriff in Grundy County for over 4 years. He then joined Cedar Falls Public Safety, a unique department where he currently serves primarily on the fire rescue side, while maintaining his certifications as both a police officer and a firefighter. His notable achievements include receiving a life-saving award for the American Heart Association. He's also been a powerful advocate, speaking before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C. to support improved legislation for officer safety. We're excited to welcome Zach. Dive into your journey, explore your dedication to your community, and learn what it takes to lead and serve on the front lines. Zach, thanks for being here. Hopefully we can have a technical issue-free episode. This is the second attempt to record a podcast with Zach.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Yep, appreciate you being here. So what's going on in the land of public safety today?
Well, not much has, changed, I don't think. Vastly. Same calls, nothing, I don't know. I think things have calmed down as far as people, how they perceive firefighters, police. I don't think it's as bad as people on the media, in the media say it is. So I still love my job.
Yeah. I mean, you've been through, probably some pretty crazy times for you. What got you into public, into this world? I know you were in juvenile detention center.
Yep.
How did that come about, and then how did it evolve into becoming a firefighter? You basically had 3 different roles in public service, right?
Yeah. I think just kind of going through my career, when I took a chance and worked with juveniles, I realized I was a good communicator. I really enjoyed working with people, kind of building relationships. Just helping people is very satisfying. So the kid, a lot of those kids needed a role model. They needed some structure, needed someone to kind of lead them, guide them. So I really enjoyed that. And then after a while, I kind of was like, I think I kind of want more. I can only help these kids so much. And I kind of looked into law enforcement, and then that was my next path. I thought, I can go out and enforce the laws, and I can really help people, that have had something been done wrong to them. Crimes committed against them, help them get some justice or just solve a bad situation.
What was the transition from juvenile to because you were in a car, you were patrolling, right?
It
had to be a huge difference in lifestyle, right?
Oh, huge difference. I was on my feet all day long with the juveniles, essentially getting them through their day physically, walking them, walking to school, just every day, I was their babysitter, and then going into a car, and then all my laws I'm enforcing or all my work I'm doing, I'm either getting called to it or I have to go find it. And so that was very now I'm independent, and now I have to if I want to be a go-getter and work hard and go do stuff, it's not always just going to come to me. So that was a lot different. So just making sure every contact with the public was a positive one, trying to make their day better. You can't always do what they want or fix their problem, but you can at least try to leave them better than you found them, So, yeah. And I think one of my goals always was, most people, if they didn't have any faith in law enforcement, they're like, well, you're not going to be able to do anything with this. You're not going to be able to help me. It was really a goal to no, I'm actually going to try to find out who stole your stuff, or try to get an ending to their problem so that they had a good resolution.
So Grundy County, is that in the same? Dike is in Grundy, right?
Yes. Yep. So Grundy County's, Dike's in the northeast corner, right next to Blackhawk County. So Grundy County is a pretty small rural county, but we're butted up to Blackhawk County, which is a very large populated county. Yep.
Yeah. So did you patrol in your hometown, and were you active, in Dike when you were working for the Grundy County Sheriffs?
Yep. we could cover the entire county. with calls, just depending how it shuffled around. But mostly I stayed in, which also was a reason when I ended up making a transition to Cedar Falls was I know a lot of people. I'm patrolling in my own town, so I'm kind of like a town cop. So that was a big adjustment of like, everyone knows me, I'm the town cop. And so if there's a problem, they know it's going to be me solving it. And then the next day, if I'm off work, I see those people at Quick Star or at the basketball or football game. It was kind of, that part was a little tough. So that's where I think Cedar Falls has been a little better to separate work and my town and community.
Yeah, I would say I don't know if people would perceive me as good at that or bad at that, because I think I faced the same challenges, right? Like I'm a insurance agent to some of my son's friends' parents, right? And I don't ever want to not help them when I'm off the clock, right? And because I mean, I'm kind of always on the clock, but I also, you know, and everybody I know has been super respectful. They're like, you know, we don't just talk to Jake about insurance whenever he gets to our house, you know, which I kind of like. And I was the same with wrestling, right? When I was a wrestling coach, I mean, I like talking about insurance. I like talking about wrestling, but I also don't just want to talk about that, right? Like I enjoy talking about your kids. I enjoy talking about my kids. I enjoy talking about the football game, you know? So it's like sometimes you don't, when you walk through Quick Start, you don't want somebody to just be like, hey, you know, just completely talk about, you know, what's going on and speed, people driving too fast on the back top. And, like, you'd either like ask me a question like if I was at the football game, like treat me like a normal person.
Right. And it's a double-edged sword because I took it as a compliment always. Yeah. If someone approaches me and they're like, hey, I got a problem, can I ask you a question? I took it as they're not asking someone else. They know other cops. They know other people in public safety. They chose to ask me. And so I don't take it too personal. If I'm like, hey, can I get back to you? Or I'll call you later if it's not a good time. But I always try to take it positively, like they're seeking me out for help. So I got to give them my best effort or give them my best advice if I can. Yeah,
I would agree. I'm the same. Like I don't want them to not ask me, right? And be like, hey, I got an insurance problem. I'm not going to ask Jake because I do like talking about it. I'm the same with wrestling. Like, you know, when something fun happened with wrestling, like I'm cool with that. But I remember sometimes, and this was honestly, insurance has probably been easier and better because people don't like talking about insurance as much as they like talking about wrestling. But I was like, you know, they'd want to tell you exactly what happened in their third graders' fourth place match and how the ref screwed them. And I'm like, you know, like I'll listen. Like I'm sure your kid's a stud, but like, I mean, that's just not something I want to talk about for the next half hour is youth wrestling and the quality of refs or how they should change the rules in youth wrestling, you know, and I would get that a lot. And, you know, I love that people are that passionate about youth wrestling, but, you know, it's like, let's talk about something else sometimes too. So I can definitely understand where you're coming from with, you know, like, and that was my perception. Like that's got to be difficult, right? Of being a cop and being in a hometown and just public service in general, right? I'm sure the mayor gets the same thing or anybody on or on city government or, you know, like I pour my problems on my friend who's on the church council. So I'm like, hey, we got to change this stuff within the church council. So I do exactly what everybody else does too. So I'm just, you know, I think, recognize that that's a challenge for the city, you know, police force or the county police force and, you know, just be cognizant of that. And, you know, sometimes when they're hanging out with their kids, you don't need to talk about somebody going too fast on Main Street, right?
Yeah. Well, the amount of times I tell people, like, I will give anybody advice, but if they're just kind of making comments like, oh, I saw someone speeding, I say, like, when I'm off duty, I'm off. And I say that to people all the time, like, hey, I'm not at work right now, so somebody else is going to have to pick up the slack or, you know, just kind of like, I can tell they're joking with me or like point something out and I just kind of put it back on them like, I guess I'm off duty. Sorry, you know. Yeah. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Is it a little bit different being a firefighter than a police officer where you don't have that as much when you're a firefighter?
Absolutely. You know, and I do a lot of medical stuff too with the firefighting. So I get different questions from people now. Some people have now kind of realized like I do different jobs, so they're not constantly bothering me about policing stuff. But yeah, there's a lot less in fire stuff, fire and medical calls. The difference in policing and fire and medical calls, the policing can like trail on forever, so your case can last, or you're dealing with something for a while. Most fire stuff and EMS medical stuff, you go, you fix the problem, deal with the problem, and you leave, and it's done. You don't talk about it ever again. It's just over. So that's been something that's pretty nice stress-wise or just lifestyle-wise, is like you show up, you fix the problem, or you take care of it, deal with it, and it's over.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, does that help? You know, and I know we've talked about this before, but just working in the juvenile, you know, corrections and you know, like it's hard to solve problems at that level, right? And you know, I had a friend that was in that, and he was in that for a while, and his mental health was the reason he got out, because he had a big time caring heart. He wanted to make a difference. He was a coach, you know, and like, he was like, you know, I want to help these kids. I want to mentor them. And he wasn't able to see the success that he wanted. And that really got to him. Like he liked what he did. He just was frustrated with not having the success that he wanted to with them. And it was mentally kind of breaking him down. I've heard that before, where I'm sure, that's something that helps, right, with the family life and everything, when you're able to resolve stuff at a higher rate, and how hard that can make it for your work life.
Well, in like that detention setting kind of thing, or in corrections, they'll be like, well, you know, they'll get in trouble when you're on your days off, and then they'd come back and be like, well, you weren't here, and if you would have been here, I wouldn't have got in trouble. Well, maybe that's the case, but I can't be with you for the rest of your life and help you navigate your way through making good choices. That's just tough, you know. Or same with law enforcement. You deal with someone and they love how you handle their problem. They trust you. They have confidence in you. And then they meet another officer that doesn't do the same thing for them. And they're like, well, that's, you know, the other officer didn't do anything. They told me, you know, I'm going to have to deal with it, or couldn't solve my problem. And you just kind of got to tell people, well, there are different people in this line of work. They do different things differently. They handle it differently. Some people go above and beyond, some don't, you know? Yeah. So and that's tough.
Yeah. The way people communicate's different. The way people hear things is different. Right? My wife and I were just talking about that. My son, he likes to wake up first in the morning. He likes to be up at 6:30. He wants to be the first one awake. He wants to do his own thing when everybody else is sleeping.
Yeah.
Yesterday he woke up at 7 and he was instantly pissed. And that's not out of the norm, you know, and then it's like, you know, it's going to be rough until he gets on the bus.
Yeah.
And I said last night, I told William, and I just heard this term 2 days ago. I said, don't crash out, buddy. And he was like, okay, Dad, I won't. And he had a great morning. But just like, what did you say to him? I'm like, I heard this thing, you know, and he like, it resonated with him. Like, and I've told him before, like, hey, stay calm. It's not a big deal. Let's just get ready and get to school, right?
Yep.
And he's like, no, my morning's ruined. I wanted to be up first. I wanted to have my own time.
Yeah.
But that didn't resonate with him. When I said don't crash out, it really resonated, and it was like communicating at his level. And I think that matters too, right? Like the way we communicate. Huge. Sometimes you vibe with some people, sometimes you don't. And, you know, like as a police officer, you're communicating with somebody in a very traumatic time. And if your communication style doesn't match theirs, it might not work out. And that's not really anybody's fault. It's just the reality of the situation, right?
When I would deal with people, I would tell them all the time, like, you are in the amount of trouble you're in when we started. Like, and if they're getting agitated, or you can tell they might want to fight or cause more problems, I'm like, you are not in any more trouble. Stop now. Don't react. We'll deal with what's in front of us. But there doesn't need to be more added onto it. There doesn't need to be further problems. Like, let's fix this current problem, not make any more. We'll figure it out. You know, deal with what's in front of you. And I used to tell people that all the time. And the ones that would kind of understand, it would give them a little bit of calming. Like, I don't have to keep getting in trouble. This isn't going to linger forever. I said, you know, this is we'll take care of this issue, whether it was a citation, even going to jail. It's like, we're going to get you booked in. You're going to be here tonight for sure. Hopefully you're out tomorrow and we'll deal with it. But we don't need this to grow and get worse or follow you for days on end or weeks, months, And that worked a lot.
Yeah. That resonates with me 100%. And you build things up in your mind, and I'm sure those people in those situations where, right, they're building things up to, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous that this is going to happen. And just by telling them that, it was probably super calming for them. So, that's awesome. I just had that works well. I'm going to start using that in the insurance world because I think we handle people in the same situation, right? It's the worst part of their week, their month, or their year when they have a claim. And I'll just let them know, like, hey, it's not going to get any worse from here, right? We're going to help you make it better going forward. And that's what your insurance agent's for. So I love that. I'm bringing that into my coaching tomorrow of our insurance stuff. I love that. Yeah. That's super easy. I love how easy things can be. It's just not thinking about them sometimes.
Well, some people, they only see red, or they only see like they think their life is ending, and it's like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna be here, and like you're gonna make it through it. This is not fun. This kind of sucks, Like, this sucks for you. I know, like, you're looking doom and gloom, but like you're gonna get through it. I'm gonna be right here with. A lot of times, if it's like a person getting OWI, it's like, I'm gonna be here with you. Like, getting you through this process. We'll get you taken care of, and you're going to have to move on from here, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's good to hear that that's the mindset of some police officers, right? Not everybody, but.
Right. The weird thing now with being a firefighter and doing EMS calls, that same thought doesn't always apply. You got to watch yourself, because when you work in EMS, you go on a medical call, you got to watch yourself telling people everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to rephrase it. You got to have positivity and let them know we're going to take care of everything we can right now. We're going to get you to the hospital, get you care, get you help. But sometimes on that end, you can't always tell them it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to get you through this. We're going to get you help. You kind of just got to watch what you're saying. But that's one big shift working fire and EMS is, like, some of the problems we encounter, we know they're not okay, maybe medically speaking, or injuries or things like that. So you got to kind of shift your positivity a little bit in ways.
What was probably the one thing when you went into law enforcement where you said, this is tougher than anticipated?
I think some people they won't like you no matter what. They're not going to listen to you. Mm-hmm. So no matter how much effort you put into, they're not going to change. They're still going to be mad. So those ones are tough because you want to win, Mm-hmm. We're competitors. We're athletes. So, like, I love to win. I like to win people over. And sometimes you're just not gonna. Or the hardest thing is knowing you're not gonna catch the bad guy. They're going to get off, or the person doing the bad thing is going to go right back to doing it. That happens a lot. Mm-hmm. So just accepting that, and then you just see it firsthand. So, like, it's coming when you become a cop, seeing it, and just kind of like, it's like losing, somebody is using drugs, you bust them for drugs, they go get help, and you catch them doing drugs again, and you're just like, wow, that meaningful conversation we had, but they were like, yeah, I got to get off this stuff. They went right back to it, and you're like, yeah, that was an L. I took an L that day. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you feel like was something where you're like, this was actually maybe a little bit easier and not as challenging as I thought it was going to be? Where you made it bigger in your head, and then you got into it and you're like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
I think, like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of it, the schooling and learning all the things in it. You're like, wow, this is hard. I'm learning all this very quick, but it's so relatable. You're just learning everything that you need to know. It's not like going to college and taking all these different classes and taking prerequisites, or you're filling your different requirements. Like, you're going to go get trained and you're going to learn only the things you need to learn. Mm-hmm. But I think, like, I was a little intimidated learning all that and worrying about, like, am I going to know the laws? Am I going to mess up? Or when I went to EMT school, I was very nervous of like, wow, people's lives are going to be more in my hands medically. What if I mess up? What if I do it wrong? So I think I was a little like nervous, but then when you get in a situation that's life and death, very stressful, you just kind of lock in, focus, and your training takes over. And so I think that's I love that part of it, whereas I'm a little less scared of things than I thought I'd be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I don't want to have overconfidence, but a really bad call, I know I can perform well under stress. I know I can handle it. I'm not like dreading the next really bad call as far as being able to handle it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think those are valid things to be nervous about going into them. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you come into a role where you have other people that have done it and can also kind of guide you through that experience, right? And help build your confidence that you've been trained well enough, like your first call, hopefully you don't have to, like use every skill you learned. Hopefully you have somebody there to help you and acclimate you with, hey, at some point you're going to be the guy taking over this, but for right now, like we're going to help and guide you, right? I mean, or do they just throw you in the deep end and say, hey, here's a fire truck?
So the difference between being a deputy and being a Cedar Falls officer, you have 11 coworkers as a deputy and 75 coworkers in Cedar Falls. So as a deputy, there were a lot of times where you were on an island and you were working alone. I've been in fights with people on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. And, I think that's where being in shape and pretty tough and knowing your training and what you can and can't do takes over because, as a deputy, I did feel a little more on an island sometimes, but that's how they train you too, to be self-sufficient, handle yourself. And Cedar Falls, we work together, and we really lean into that, helping each other and not doing things alone. Pretty different.
Yeah, I think, just talking to you, obviously there's a big difference between being an officer and being on, the fire department and what's probably the biggest thing you've loved about being on the fire department that's kind of been a game changer for you?
So I work 24-hour shifts. It's kind of like a marathon instead of a sprint. And like you are truly immersed in a team. So no firefighter can handle the day, the shift, the call, anything without everybody else. So it's like we're at wrestling practice all day long, and we all have to do our jobs, work hard, take care of things, and we just can't do it alone. It's very, very team oriented. Each call requires, at least 2 people per truck a lot of times or more, getting different equipment, different tasks, but that's definitely a big part of that.
Do you see like they're ever becoming, and it's probably somewhat budget concerns and stuff, but like having that team atmosphere more in the police force where, they're not on their own and they're not on an 8-hour shift or 12-hour shift where they're the only person in the car, is there?
Well, yeah. So
that sounds tough.
Oh yeah. In our police, we do kind of do that at Cedar Falls because we're cross-trained. So I'm still a certified officer. I still do all the Cedar Falls police training. I don't patrol every day. I'm not like assigned to patrol, but we can help each other out so well as far as knowing each other's roles. So you show up on a fire or on a car crash, police are going to handle the investigation and handle things with the cars and identifying cars, people, what laws have been broken, if any. And fire's going to handle medical. They're going to handle suppression for fire or any threat, any dangers from the cars themselves, getting people out, getting people in ambulances and medical care. So like we do kind of mesh together and work together. Whereas other departments or other areas, they have a fire department, they're solo, and they have police and they're solo, and they see each other on scene, but they don't always train together or like help each other with each other's roles as much as we do at Cedar Falls. So I love that whole dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But it is weird. Like, we're there all 24 hours a day. The police probably think we sit around and take naps all day. And then,
That's what I think.
We look at the patrol and we're like, wow, you guys work 8 hours a day. How hard could that be?
Yeah.
You know? So we're like, geez, you're hardly even here. So
yeah, it's all relative, right?
Right. Yeah. But I do love it. And I love that we work well together for calls, incidents.
Yeah. I know that you are in EMS and the fire department. What do you do? I mean, I am curious. And do you have a Dalmatian?
We do not. We have a cement sculptured one.
Nice.
We have two canines.
To the dog?
We have two police canines. We don't have a fire dog. I volunteered my golden retriever to come to work, but they said no. But we run, like, in our town, our city, we run 60% medical calls. So heart problems, breathing problems, seizures. We don't go on every single ambulance call. We get triggered for certain types, like the heart and breathing, strokes, heart attacks, car accidents. We have about 6 working fires or 6 legit fires a year is kind of like our number. That number goes up and down too. But so yeah, a lot of medical calls. So I get on scene maybe first, maybe not, get patient vitals and just basic patient assessment and get them what they need immediately and get them ready to get shipped off to the hospital. So that's typically what I do for medical stuff. Fire and accidents, we're in charge of the scene and everything involved in it. So a fire scene, it's who's there, who's close, and who's doing what job, and who's extinguishing, who's searching, who's working the trucks. In a car accident, we work with patrol a little more as far as like traffic control. But fire typically deals with the car and getting people in or out or getting the car safe, and just more scene safety stuff.
How many calls a day do you guys think you average?
So I got to throw this out there because it's kind of hilarious. I was doing a talk with some elementary kids, and I was like, without even thinking about it, I was like, yeah, we run about like 6 or 7 calls a day. And all the kids are like, 6, 7, because that's like a kid thing, I guess, now. But yeah, so we do run about 6 calls a day. We've had as many as 15 in a day, and that's 15 would be like running calls, like about every other hour kind of thing, call to call. Typically 6 calls. We could maybe have 0 calls, which is kind of crazy, but also as crazy as having like 15 or more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there a big difference, like just in how many fire stations do you guys have in your department?
We have 2, kind of split the city into 2, north and south.
2 zones.
And we have 8 people per shift, but we need to have a minimum of 6 on. So we handle whatever problem with 6 firefighters. And then our patrol can help supplement for the incident if it's needed. So cops can show up for a car accident or fire and help out. So.
Is there a difference between the number of calls that one station takes versus another? Like, is there, I guess just geographically and demographically a big difference in those things?
Our north side of town is closer to the downtown district. So there is typically an uptick in calls down there. But again, it could just be an odd day and it flips the other way. But typically our north station runs more calls.
Yeah.
And we try to staff accordingly, but we fluctuate where we're at. So
yeah. Is there some guys that prefer that? They want to just be on calls the entire time?
Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm that way, and some of my younger coworkers too. Like, we prefer to have a somewhat busy day, like a day just with no calls. Some people think that sounds great. It gets boring. We'll do training, but you only can train for so long, and you're just like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. We work out. Most days we work out at the station because we have time. If we have time to, we think we should stay fit. But yeah, running calls is fun. I mean, we don't like people being in need of in need of us, but running calls is fun.
Were you part of like does DICAT? I'm guessing they have a volunteer fire department.
I am not. I feel bad that I'm not, but I ask people all the time, like, would you want to like help out another insurance agency in your free time? Like that's and like that sounds bad, but I don't want to do this every day, all day, just because of the
Yeah.
stress and how you have bad days. There are bad days at work.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the business. Is you're gonna have some bad days.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And I was just curious. I mean, I think my brother lives in Gretna, Nebraska, and he tells me it's the largest volunteer fire department in the United States.
Oh wow,
Do you know if that's accurate or not?
I couldn't tell you.
It's a
I
big
love my
town.
volunteers. But I will say, in volunteers, most of them will tell you this: career department, full time department, and volunteer. It's just vastly different
Yeah.
because your call volume is just so much different, and you
Yeah.
have
They
people
probably
that
don't go out for everything, right?
yeah, and like a lot of us, like all we are firefighters, and we help out the
Yeah.
police too. So like all your volunteer people have day jobs.
Yeah.
They're not sitting at the station training and waiting for the next call.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Necessary though. Like I come from a town of 350 people, so I mean,
no,
just you have to have a volunteer fire department. And as an insurance agent, fire departments are extremely important for us. We can't
oh yeah,
insure any property more than 10 miles away from a fire station.
oh
So
yeah, and
I'm
like
big on
wow,
volunteer fire departments.
yep. And I understand. Like we have all these it's like regulations of like they're putting up fire hydrants everywhere as the city grows, and places that don't have fire hydrants, we have plans in place to get them water and how we're going to do it. But there's a lot of that to our job too.
Yeah. And there's, I think I didn't realize any of those things were in place before I got into insurance,
Yep.
and I mean, it's just something that I've really learned. And there's special carriers that will insure your home if you're over 10 miles away from a fire hydrant or
Yep.
not a fire hydrant, but from a fire department. We used to track how far away you were from a fire hydrant,
Yep.
and we'd have to check that. But we're getting to the point now where all that information is data that our company has access to. So we
Right.
don't ask those questions anymore. They just have the information and the data points to
Yep.
instantly say, hey, I know you're 100 feet away from a fire hydrant, which
Right.
blows me away how important that is. But I
Yeah.
know when I see that somebody's 9.9 miles away from a fire department, their rate's going to be pretty high.
Yeah. So that's kind of a question for you, or just something to throw out to think about. You know, we joke like sometimes we're basement savers. People will call us
Yeah.
basement savers because we'll show up and put water on it, and the only thing left is the foundation. But truly, it's kind of interesting insurance wise, thinking like the amount of times we show up and we always wonder, like, man, we put a lot of water on that and it's ruined, but maybe we should just let it burn down. But that's not our job to let things burn
Yeah.
down. So, we do our best to not ruin stuff, but most fully involved fires, you're not saving a thing. Yeah. So there's always, that's kind of like a little bit of a laugh we have where we'll go put a house fire out, but it's completely all burned, and maybe
Yeah.
we should just let it burn down
Yeah.
a little more.
I mean, it doesn't take a very big fire to be a total loss.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the smoke damage, like all that stuff. It doesn't make sense to go in and try and save everything, right? Like how
Yeah.
it doesn't take much to be a total loss, honestly. I mean, it's the same thing with a car, right?
Yep.
People ask me about, that stuff all the time, but yeah, total losses anymore. It just doesn't take much. And the labor is so expensive, and, the material cost is so expensive that, yeah, I mean, my first month in, we had a total loss fire, and, just something super simple, but, the whole house was lost. It started on the deck, which I think a lot of fires do.
Yeah.
And
Grills and
yeah,
electrical.
Yeah, they ended up just, rebuilding, and yeah, it is what it is. But that's, you just keep dousing it. They're gonna tear it down anyway, Zach. So
Yeah. Yep.
somebody
You
else
bet.
is
That's
gonna
what they
get
usually
paid
do.
to tear it down. So
Yep.
you're a road grader. You're feeding a
Yep.
family by saving half of it.
Well, and one of my old fire captains, he used to always say, when we do training and like, he'd always preach safety. And he's like, hey, if there's nobody in there, he's like, listen, guys, they tear all these houses down. Like, just remember, like, they almost tear every single thing down, every fire we fight. So don't get yourself hurt when there's
Yeah,
nobody's life in danger. Don't put your own life in danger when they're going to tear it down. So he used to always say that over and over and preach that, which is, it's 100% correct.
yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what insurance is for too, right? Like,
Yeah,
don't try and don't try and put the fire out yourself. Get your family out. Be safe.
yeah.
That's why you have us. Is that
Check
peace
them
of
smoke
mind that.
detectors, make sure you got all your safety stuff in place because that gets you out so then you can worry about the house later.
Yep. How often do you go on like fire compliance, like visits and stuff like that? Is that part of your job at all?
All the time. And
Really?
I think that maybe is unique to our department. We do commercial fire inspections every year. We
Yep.
do the entire city of Cedar Falls. We split it by 3 shifts, and it's hundreds and hundreds of businesses. And we also do rental properties
Really?
and Section 8 also as well. So we do that in our free time. So when some people think we have a 24-hour shift and we have all this free time, typically Monday through Friday during the day, we're inspecting businesses and rentals.
Yeah. So I just had my own some rental properties, and I was just
Yep.
told that we're going to have CO2 and smoke, fire detectors that have enclosed batteries moving forward. Like we're not going
Yes.
to, it's either going to have to be
Tamper-proof.
hardwired or enclosed.
Right. And that's because they want tamper-proof because people take the batteries out. People don't replace the batteries. So if you have a tamper-proof one, it's good for the X amount of years. You put it up. Nobody can mess with it. And it has a date on it. You can't modify that date. So when we do your inspection, we can say, oh, what is it, like however many years it's good
10 year
for?
usually.
That's what it's good for. And you can't change it. So it's more clear cut and dry, which is good because the amount of people take their smoke detectors down or like don't replace batteries, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get
So,
it, my initial reaction is pissed because I've spent a bunch of money, but
yeah,
like I
they
understand
add
it.
up. They add up,
Yeah.
boy. They do.
Yeah. And I think I got to have one outside every floor with a sleeping area, right? The CO2 part,
Yep.
which, we were compliant with that early, at least on the main floor. And now they're dictating like every floor with a sleeping space. We have to have one.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to add a few for those.
Yep.
These darn sealed lithium batteries. I got to find Amazon link where I can get some cheap,
Just buy in
10
bulk.
year seal.
Everything in bulk's better. You know that, Jake. You gotta go to
Yep.
like Sam's Club or
Costco's, Sam's
yes,
Clubs.
yep. Buy a box of them. Yeah.
Do you just, beating this dead horse, but like hardwired versus battery powered? I mean, big difference in like safety or, like
Well,
how much would you say I would invest in getting hardwired in your house?
hardwired's great just because one goes off and then they all go off. If they're not hardwired, that's not an option, I don't think. Or I'm not
I
like
think it
a.
is. I've been researching these obviously
Have you?
because
Well, that's
it's a
good.
problem in
I
my
need to
life
do
right
more.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some now where they're all like Wi-Fi connected, right? So if one goes
Yes.
off, but they're
Yep.
all connected to your Wi-Fi, then they all will.
Yep. Yep. And that's one thing, like we always try to think of like trainings we can do because we do the same stuff. We need to like reach out to like a smoke detector company and be like, hey, it's probably super simple, but like what kind of like stuff do you got for us? Because like people talk to us like we're experts. I mean, we are more than the average person, but we're like, you put a new battery in, you blow it out, we blow the dust out of it, and you hang it up there. Like that's it. Or the hardwired ones, they should chirp a different way. Like they can chirp different ways if they're not getting the power from the house and it's only from the battery. There's little different things like that, but hardwireds are good. They really are. Investment wise, if I'm building a house, living in it, I want hardwired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's probably
go
not
sleep
that big of a deal at that point, right?
yeah, I mean, the wiring should be there. I don't know if the wire, I guess I don't know if the wiring goes off of your lights. Same, all comes from the same power source. I don't think it's
Yeah.
anything special.
Yeah. When I renovated a house, we installed new like can lights or whatever. And he's like, do you
Yeah,
want us to put in some hardwire? And I'm like, absolutely. And
yeah,
I was like, I didn't notice that it was like,
yeah.
oh shit, that was expensive. Yeah. It was
They're less
pricey.
annoying
So,
too. I mean,
yeah.
you should always change your batteries every year, every 2 years, how good batteries you buy. But you just know you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night when they're hardwired and you
Yeah.
replace your batteries. Like the other benefit of it is safety, but also like it's not going to go off and you're going to be like, there's no fire. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like having working detectors is and up to date has a benefit.
Yeah.
You know.
That you don't get annoyed.
Yeah. Right.
So in your off time when you're not on your 24-hour shift, what do you typically do? Spend your day doing?
I'll try to. I mean, I do a lot of overtime and training and some different work related stuff. So even on my off days, I have different options of like working security jobs as a police officer or in police uniform. Otherwise, like I try to work out quite a bit still, stay in shape. This job isn't easy. It's very physical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those jobs, if you don't stay on top of it, you're going to struggle when you actually have a fire. Like fires are exhausting. But other than that, just try to be with the kids and enjoy. Like I golf a lot. I feel like with my job, it's very important to do things that are enjoyable, kind of takes your mind off of work and something to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, I know my guy that removes trees. He's a fire officer, or works for the fire department in Sioux City.
Yeah.
And that's like his. Yeah, I mean he's a huge workout guy, but he's also a tree removal guy. And
Yeah.
I only get him like I think here they do like 2 on 3 off or something like that. I don't know what
Usually
their
it's
schedule is.
24/48. So you work one day and you get 2 straight off.
Okay. Yeah.
There's like
I
different.
don't know.
We have a California swing. It's a really weird schedule, but I love it. And so I work 3 24-hour shifts in my work week. And once I've worked 3 24s, I'm off for 4 straight. So it feels like I'm off all the time. But if you look at the amount of hours I work a lot of hours. But it just doesn't feel that way. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Get you out of here in a little bit. What's one daily habit that you have that you feel like, it's been critical to your success in public service?
Showing up to work with a positive attitude. And I know I don't know if that sounds corny, but there's so much negativity in all aspects of my type of work. So corrections or law enforcement, firefight, fire, EMS. There is a definite negative, this is the worst, I can't wait to retire mindset, or people just dreading that today might be the worst shift. It's a terrible way to work. So like every day I try to walk in and I'm like, I'm not even faking it. I truly love going to work. So I try to make sure everyone else around me knows like, I'm here, I'm excited to be here, let's get to work, let's do some sweet stuff today. And I think that just creates a great environment to work in. Because people feed off that. The negative people feed off the negativity too. So you have one negative person and then you have 2 other people that are always like complaining about their complaints or admin's making us do this or that, or your attitude's infectious. So I try really hard to be positive every day at work.
What's one book or I'll throw you a softball here or podcast that you would recommend?
Right. So I'm not a big book reader. I should read more. So when I train for fire, I have to read these books that are so thick and so brutal that I just don't want to read anymore after I'm done with them. So I listened to Built for More podcast, and I haven't listened to a lot, but like any podcast that has athletes talking about how they are the way they are or what got them there. Built for More, I listen to Pat McAfee, a lot of the sports stuff, but I think even in those sports ones, it's the stories of the athletes, not all the other stuff or who's going to win this game or that. It's more like, how are they the way they are? and like what makes them great. And I got a couple of quotes to go with that I've gotten off podcasts. Chuck Pagano, solid coach, was coach for the Indianapolis Colts. His quote was, "Faith is believing in what you can't see, and the reward for believing it is that you'll get to see it." And I remember when I heard that, I like rewinded that so many times because I was like, it just stuck with me. And it's like, that goes for faith in your department, your faith in Christianity or religion, your faith in people. So believing in your faith and believing, you don't always see it right away, but because you're believing in it, eventually you will.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's just another big quote guy.
I love quotes. Me too. So like, not a big book guy. Love quotes. Got a lot of good quotes. On my phone, I have a note tab with just a bunch of quotes. And I don't know if I ever really do anything with them other than sometimes I read them and I'm like, oh man, need a little motivation. Well, that's a sweet quote. I got one more good one because this is a leadership podcast. Everyone thinks leadership is about a man or a woman getting people to listen to them. But no, it's about creating a following, a sense of belonging, and creating a team. It's all about the team and turning them into professionals. So I love that because everyone wants to lead and wants people to, like they have this idea of the leader they want to be, but you have to be able to get people to follow you. So I think some people mistake that of like, well, yeah, I want to be a leader. Well, you need to create a following, and why are they following you, and what are you doing to be followed?
Who's that quote by?
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to Google it now. You're gonna force me to.
Yeah, I don't. Machine. I'm not trying to steal a quote. I mean, and I don't know if I have that somewhere, but I love that one because that is our department in a nutshell. Or what is great is like we get all these new people, young people, and you need to get them like you. So I'm like a 10-year person, I guess, where I've been doing this long enough, experienced enough. How do I get the person next to me? How do I get them on a path to get them to where I'm at? And not that I'm, the model employee, but they're new and they're going to have experiences. How are they going to handle it? Are they going to enjoy it? I need to get them, on the path that I had. I thought I had a great path. I had a lot of people that helped me. I have to do that for them. Mm-hmm. And that's leadership, not, if I get promoted to a lieutenant or a captain, yeah, I'm a leader, but are people following me and am I turning them into professionals? Like that's it's not just the title. It's not just the pay. It's not that you're the person who has to answer all the questions when someone calls and asks, or it's a lot more than that.
One of the big things that I'm working through with my organization is bringing on someone to replace what I do. And one of the biggest things that we're focused on is leadership. And I also put in there leadership over management. And that's probably my biggest concern, is bringing in somebody that sees it as a management role and not a leadership role. And I think there's a very key difference. And I think that management is needed at times, but leadership is necessary all the time. And if you're able to find somebody that can lead a group, they need less management, right? A great leader doesn't need people to be managed, right? Because they are following. And I think a key part of that is culture. And that's one of the things that I talk about all the time, is culture over everything, right? A strong culture solves almost every problem, and a poor culture elevates every problem. And, so it's so important to have a leader that believes in the culture or establishes a culture. And that can, be a game changer for organization. And I think it's something that a lot of people read or hear and, they're like, yeah, that's valid. Like, I believe that too. But I think it's a harder thing to implement it, right? And, it's just, culture is a very tough thing. And I would say my biggest fear, again, is that my culture will change when I'm no longer, in the role I'm in right now. And probably my biggest fear. And I think at all times, culture is the most important. And I told somebody, I asked, what is your culture? And he's like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm like, well, then that means you probably don't have one. And I asked another person, what's your culture? Gave me an answer and didn't have to think about it. And I was like, that guy has a culture and he knows it. And I guarantee his employees know it too, because it's just like, he knows that's what his organization is. And I think it sounds like, the department you're in, you guys have a strong culture and you know what it is and people believe in it. And that's really critical, I think, for success and culture over everything. That's my big thing. And
I love that.
Yeah, it'll elevate any organization. All right. One last thing. If you could spend a day doing whatever you wanted, right? No work responsibilities, what would you be out doing or in doing? You could be gaming.
Yeah, probably. I like going. I like golfing. I'm not even super good at it. I just think when I'm out there, I forget about a lot of the other problems in life or things I got to do. And there's nothing better than hitting a shot, and you're just like, man, that was a shot. Hitting a
Have
shot.
you always been a golfer?
No, I mean, I've always golfed, but I've never been able to golf. And kind of my transition to Cedar Falls, my schedule helps me or it allows me to golf more.
Yeah.
Whereas before, any schedule I had, I didn't have the schedule for it. I wasn't able to commit the time to it. So I'm off for, 24 hours at a time. I don't work every day. So like today, I was off at 8 a.m. I worked all day yesterday. So this morning, if it would have been nice, I could have just went out, hit a couple golf balls. And I don't golf like a ton all day, but, going out and just playing a quick 9 or something. And I do it by myself. I don't even sometimes listen to a podcast. Sometimes I'm out there in quiet, peace and quiet. But then in a weird way, are you this way? Because like the way I'm wired, if work was like, we're just going to give you the next 2 weeks off paid just because you're a great guy, I'd be like, I'd rather go to work. Like I enjoy going to work. And so that question, just the first thing in my head was like, well, if I could do whatever I want, I wouldn't go to work. But I also, in the same thought, I'm like, I love going to work. I like having, that's why my schedule, like working every other day, usually. I love that I'm usually ready to go to work the next day. Then I have a day off to do what I want, relax, reset, and then I'm ready to go to work again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a workaholic. I'm just like who I am, and that's what I do. I try and structure my life so I can't only work, right? Like I just heard a quote. What was it? It was about like, having an addictive personality, and like, if you're that type of person, right, don't work in a bar.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I know that about myself, right? Like I've always been that way. And so I really try and structure, like I don't know if you know, but I'm on this damn flip phone for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I had my smartphone, I just work whenever I wanted to, and it was not good for me.
Yeah.
And even though I enjoyed it, like it wasn't good for my life, and it wasn't my priority. My number one priority isn't to have a great insurance agency, right? It's to be a great husband and a great dad. Those are my top number 1 and 2. And so, although I love working, I gotta make sure that my life isn't sucked into just working all the time. So and even, when I have a day off, I generally am either working on a rental property or, fixing something at my house. I just do stupid stuff where I create more work for myself.
Yeah. But I'm that way with all these off days I have. I'm constantly trying to like start a project, and my wife is always like, projects cost money. And I'm like, but I need something to do, or like if I don't have anything lined up, then I'm, or when the kids are in school, that's why I golf and have hobbies. 'Cause I'm like, man, I just love a good project,
Yeah. Coach Rick Dahl, he told me that like males, we communicate better when we're doing an activity, which really resonated with me because that is me to a core, right? When Jess is like, hey, what do you want to do with this free weekend? I would say, hey, I want to go to my buddy Joey's house. He's working on his siding. Like, I would love to just go up and help him side his house and just shoot the breeze with him. Like, that is relaxing to me, right? And, so that, when Coach Dahl told me that, I was like, dang, that makes so much sense. That solves so many of my questions in life,
Yeah.
And I'd say, I think that's why I like working too, right? Is because I communicate better, and, I like being around people and communicating with them. And when I'm busy, I'm a better communicator.
Yeah. And that's literally like the fire service. Boy, you'd make a good firefighter, Jake. Because that's what we do. We like work. We have jobs, tasks all day long. It's nothing too strenuous, too crazy. I mean, it can be, but like it's kind of like I said, like the marathon. And we have strong relationships. People on my shift, like we are like brothers and sisters, because that's how much time we spend, and we talk and get to know each other and solve the world problems all at the same time.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, it's hard. I also think, like, I've always had a job where I could do whatever I wanted, right? And I've always chose to continue to just go into the office and work, like I was blessed with having Tim Jagger as my boss, right? Yeah. And he believed in me, and he was a great leader. He never micromanaged me, and he just always said, like, these are my expectations, go figure it out and make it happen, Jake. And I love that, and I was like, let's do it. I can do that. So I think that's maybe, as a wrestler, being in an individual sport, like that's something that's kind of ingrained into us, right? Where like, we weren't micromanaged even in practice, right? It's like, go get 30 reps. You can do singles or doubles or high crotches, know what's good for you, and go get it done. And, that maybe kind of developed in us, like that self-starter mentality, and just like, you are responsible for your own success. So go make yourself successful, right? Wrestling's a good sport.
Oh man, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without it, like without a doubt.
Yeah.
And a little recruiting ploy to anybody listening. If anybody's curious about public safety, police, fire, EMS, I help out recruiting all the time. That's another part of the things I do at work. And I help recruit for people in other departments too. Like if you're not a good fit for our department, I'll try to steer you in the right direction for a good fit. So.
Do you guys do personality tests to like kind of see who would be a good fit for what department? Like, is that a part of your guys' process? I mean, we do that in my agency, right?
Yeah, my wife's company does that. I wish we would more, because I tell you what, one problem we have is people interview very well. They've done all the schooling and all the things, but their personality, like if they're like an introvert and like they seem really talkative and they're very good at answering the questions in their interview, but then having just a normal conversation like you would if you pulled someone over on a traffic stop, or you're taking information from a call, and they struggle. And I'm like, how do you interview so well and then you struggle with, that interaction? It's crazy. But I wish we would do more personality tests.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I never thought about like an officer's need to be, good at that, and be a little more extroverted to have that conversation and dig a little deeper. And
it definitely helps.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely helps, because you're going to have to get information out of people. They hardly ever want to tell you what you want to know. So you got to get it out of them. But yeah, and I mean, obviously, like we were athletes, college athletes. Like athletes do well because we're on a big team. I tell people all the time, our public safety building, when I got hired, I was like, this is like getting a scholarship at Iowa, or Nebraska. Like I'm on this really big, high functioning team. There's 76 of us. It's a nice build. We got nice buildings, nice things. I'm like, man, this is sweet. Like we're a big, strong team. So that's kind of how I sell it to people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you enjoy the team environment.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to take all athletes, because that's what I'm trying to recruit too.
I know we have military. There's lots of different. If you're involved with sort of teams don't always mean sports. So I do say athletes.
Good point.
Military is a great example. We have a lot of people in military. They're not sports-minded people whatsoever, and they're amazing.
You can get anybody from anywhere, but I think it's like you're attracted to what, where you were, and that's me,
Yeah.
right? I was an athlete, I was a coach, so I'm attracted to those people.
Yep.
I honestly don't think I have a single college athlete on my team, and love all of them. They're all a bunch of A players. So maybe it's dumb that's what I even think about is recruiting college athletes, because that does not make up my team at all. But, you're just kind of like, I don't know. That's what I'm attracted to. And, even looking for this VP of ops, our position, I'm like, I cannot hire another me. Like, this damn organization can't take two Jakes. People's heads would explode,
Right. When we get new people too,
diversify.
Some of the new people, they have really good different set of skills than I do. So it's always like, we need to go do some more physical endurance stuff so I can feel like I'm good at things again. Because they computers and stuff, they make me look bad. They're like, geez, you take forever. And they're just, and I love that. I'm always lean into those skills. I don't have those skills, and then I try to get them to work on the stuff they need to work harder on too. But
I mean, that's what makes a good team, right? Too, is you have a 25-pounder and you have a heavyweight, and you're a very different skill set, but you can't win without both.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks, dog. I appreciate you jumping on here. Thanks for getting it in. They're probably not going to be able to see our beautiful faces, but the audio will be great. Where can people find you if they want to find you? Like LinkedIn, if somebody's like, hey, I want to be, in public service and I'm interested, where do they find you at?
My email is probably the best, Zachary.Anderson. It's Anderson with an E-N. Jake, you'll have to add that in the comments, at cedarfalls.com. You can go to Cedar Falls city page, go to public safety, and probably find me through the contacts there. I wouldn't be upset if anybody adds me on Facebook. That's fine. I get people reaching out on Facebook all the time, asking me about jobs in our department or other departments. I need to get on LinkedIn. I really do. It needs to be a goal.
Yeah.
Check back in, make sure I've got on LinkedIn, reach out to some of these people in different ways, but pretty much email and Facebook, text message. That's all I got.
Yep. Yeah. Well, again, appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you on the golf course again someday. Maybe next year my family can come back over. And
that was fun.
We were Zach invited us over for a pretty awesome golf fundraiser.
Yeah. Do better, be better,
right?
Yep, you bet.
See, I remember the tag, do better, be better. Pretty awesome event there in Dyke. Even though I don't support Dyke really at all, because my high school and Zach's high school go up against each other in sports.
Rivals almost.
Which is a good thing, because we don't see each other in the regular season, only in the playoffs. So it must mean that we're both in some good communities athletically wise. But I will support do better, be better. But just as long as we keep winning when it comes to volleyball and football. I don't know if we beat you yet, but that's the next goal.
Well, volleyball's tough. I don't know. We're kind of hitting a lull. We're having a couple down years, maybe slowing up a bit.
Oh, we better get it done this year on the volleyball court for the Hinton Blackhawks, because our top girl Bailey Booby, she's going to Creighton next year. Actually sat by the Creighton coaches last night when they're at her game. So, this is going to be hopefully a good year for the Hinton Blackhawks volleyball-wise. See you in the state championship again, and hopefully we can get it done this year.
Sounds good, man.
All right. See you, dude. Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
All right.